Hello, Namaste, and welcome to Agile Exploration Hub. I am your host Nagesh Deshpande. On today's Talks with Deshpande ji episode, we have a very special guest, Major Pavnit Singh, and we are going to discuss about Scrum versus Kanban, which frameworks fit for your team. So let's welcome Major Pavnit. Hey,
Hi,
hi,
hi Nagesh.
hello, Sergey. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah,
Yes.
first
So
of all, I would like to mention that thanks a ton to provide me this opportunity and invite me for your podcast. So it's my pleasure to be part of the Agile community and Agile Exploration Hub in particular. And thanks and kudos to the great work you are doing to trying to get together the whole Agile community and share the best practices around. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks a lot. Your feedback is really, really helpful for me, encouraging for me. So, to my audience, I'll request you to watch this episode till the end. Subscribe to my channel and whatever or whichever frameworks that you prefer, Scrum or Kanban, or you want to learn Kanban, add in the comment box. So, let's not take much time and directly jump onto our topic. So, as I mentioned, as I introduced Major Pavnit Singh. So he
Right.
is from Indian Army. He worked for civil services. So it's it's a pleasure for us to host him and have an interactive discussion with him on his agile. Now everyone must be curious to know his journey from Indian Army to agile professions. So just share your journey. How did it started actually?
Sure, sure. Thank you, Rangesh. So I got commissioned into Indian Army in 2011 after completing my BTech from
Okay.
Indraprastha University. So I am from core of EME. If people are not aware, so EME stands for the Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. So that is one of the technical cores of the Indian Army, and which is responsible for maintaining the entire equipment fleet that includes even the tanks, the helicopters, the artillery guns, the small weapons, or even the computers for that
Okay.
matter. So in my entire career with Indian Army, I have served for 12 years, more than that. And post that, I have taken a pivot and joined corporate 2 years back. So in the entire journey with Indian Army, the one of the frameworks of Agile, that is Kanban,
Hmm.
was virtually embedded in that. If the audience is aware or not, I just want to reiterate that Kanban have a very rich history, even more than Agile. It
Right.
was kind of invented in 1940s by Japanese and the Toyota makers, and it was then implemented across Toyota in 1963. However, if we are aware that Agile was born in 2001 for the software development lifecycle primarily.
Yes.
Now it is used in various industries and services. However, Kanban, when was invented, was primarily for the automotive industry or the manufacturing industry, and same principles were used in in our Indian Army also. That I mentioned that I am from core of EME, and we used to maintain the fleets of the you know fighting formation or the units. So we used to have workshops where we get any equipment that is off road, to be precise, not working, right? So that is brought to the workshop. Then similarly, we used to have that backlog ready.
Yes. Yes.
And then from there, we get that into prioritize, and we get it into the to do. And from there, based on the resources we have and the spares we have, we then pull it to the in progress. And once that is done, it will be pulled to the review part, where we'll have an independent QC team who will do the quality checks. And after meeting that, it would be then pulled to done, where it will be told to the user units representative that your equipment is ready and you can now take it back to your unit. So that is how we used to implement Kanban, and also the just-in-time that is inherent to Kanban. That since we also used to have these spares, for repairing our equipment, not all spares are readily available.
Right.
Based on the consumption, we used to keep few and the pattern, and else maybe locally procure or get it through some ordinance channel.
Right.
So that may take some time. And meanwhile, if the other vehicle is, requiring the spares that is already available, so we will push it back to the waiting or in review and pull another vehicle back to in progress. So we used to keep that work in progress, principle also of Kanban always into mind. And we used to have a, factual signboard on the workshop
Right.
where we used to keep maintaining all the backlogs and the fleets, the to do in progress, so that anybody coming and work and walking into your workshop will have a clear picture that, okay, today how many vehicles are there in the backlog, what are
Right.
in to do, in progress, or awaiting collection by the user rep. So that
Amazing.
is how we used to have Kanban before even I moved out into corporate world. I had been doing it without knowing that it is part of Agile framework. But yes, the best part I would mention, and tell my viewers, all the audience also, that I was very privileged to having served my country, and have worked with the Indian Army for more than 12 years. So the Indian Armed Forces, I'm particularly mentioning Army, Navy, Air Force together, we have a memorandum of understanding with various B schools across India that whenever an officer is retiring, so in the last 6 months of his tenure, he will be given an opportunity to do a DGR course, that is called
Okay.
resettlement course. And there is a separate institute called DGR, that is Directorate General of Resettlement, that looks after all these functions, and have a tie up with those B schools and manages entire uh, batch of 50 officers from Army, Navy, Air Force. And the entire demographics were also different, like short service officer with having served around 10 to 14 years of service. Then those officers who have completed 20 years are now eligible for their pension, and but have taken the premature retirement for their own various reasons. And then the officers who are superannuating, that do have completed the entire service that is applicable at their rank, and then getting about to retire. So we used to have plethora of experience ranging from 10 to 14
Absolutely.
years to 30 plus years. And again, the experience varied from Army, Navy, Air Force. And fortunately, I also got this similar opportunity, and I got enrolled into Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Delhi, where I did an executive program, certificate program in international business management. And there I was leading the placement team for my batch of defense officers. And from there, I used to get connected with the HRs of various firms. I brought them to the campus, and got the officers placed in various companies. So whenever, if you think of any defense officer coming out and going into corporate,
Corporate.
generally
Yeah.
probably two three verticals will come into your mind, maybe administration or security,
Right.
and max to max HR.
HR. Yes.
But I want to, yeah, break that convention that nowadays the officers are getting placed anywhere and everywhere. So I'll take my example. I am into Agile world, into software tech company. They are my batchmates who are working in cybersecurity, and we also have now defense industry booming with the drones and the Atmanirbhar Bharat coming into play. So you know we have lots of opportunities, and even I have seen officers who are doing software development per se in the as a developer also.
Right. Right. Mhm.
So we now can't limit ourselves to only those streams, and people are everywhere. So that is also the reason that I being from defense background, I was very, comfortable dealing with people, very extrovert. And I always also had a thought that I'll try and join HR. However, when I was dealing with the HRs of various companies for the placement, then I realized that probably the number of opportunities versus the returns are not that great probably, and I need to rethink. And there, the other batchmates of mine from Navy and Air Force, they already had done project management, professional PMP certification, and CSM. So there I realized that okay, this is
Mm.
also one of the line that I can choose, and I also relate to being a true servant leader. One of the basic principle of certified, I mean Scrum Master. So I thought that all those qualities are already there, and I need to just polish myself and learn the tactics there. And from there I started my agile journey, and I gave it a try, and I really loved the agile values and principle, and those are the things that one should imbibe not only in the daily professional work, but also if you get into your personal
Personal
life,
life.
that will be beneficial.
Absolutely. So, wow, that's amazing journey, amazing story. So, to my audience, it gives me good goosebumps. So, absolutely, very nice, interesting. So, like you mentioned about Kanban, yes, Kanban was earlier was into manufacturing, and still being used in most of the manufacturing. And yes, so I have met few, so few of the people who serve Indian Army and then joined Agile. One of them is whom I met in Bangalore was Colonel Ranjiv K. Babu, and
Okay,
he is Agile coach also. I guess he started his own firm as well. It's a
right.
very tremendous experience that person has. His his so one of the talk that I attended was on OODA loops.
Okay,
So he gave a very nice explanation and how it is being used in Indian Army or Air Force, and then so it was a quite a bit good learning from him. So we'll continue this discussion now. Moving on to our discussion, and next topic is like you already explained that how did you learn the Scrum and Kanban when you joined them. You already know the Kanban, then you learn the Scrum to join. After joining IT, but uh, was there any struggle? Uh, First of all, learning Scrum because you Kanban you already know, but selecting or choosing between Scrum or Kanban, was there any
right.
struggle or challenges?
So yes, I would give that credit to my manager. So while you transition into your from one organization to other organization is still fine if you are in the same industry,
Right,
but changing the industry altogether is a very kind of a challenging role, and it somehow may you may hit a six, or you may be bold on the very first ball, depending on the manager that you are going to have probably. So that way I was very lucky, I would say. And I had a very great team. And when I joined as a agile delivery manager in my team, I was given some time to have to go through all those knowledge training KT sessions, and then I had few shadow period also, where I observed my senior team members in how they are having the entire sprint planning being done, and all these Scrum events being followed. So I also joined them, observed them, learned all those things on the job itself.
right,
However, like I said, I observed myself also that yes, probably they are already ahead of me. So if I need to take that jump, I need to do few certifications myself. I need to keep upskilling myself. I need to be aware of the environment more than only the team, on what are the best practices. And this whole agile and Scrum was very dear to me, and I felt that I can also contribute to this domain in particular, because I always felt that okay, I it is more of about people. then
Right.
process or tools. So I also took those values and principles from Agile and tried to have that continuous improvement in myself. So, and in the entire journey, my manager stood by me, and she kept pushing me. Okay, you do it yourself. Try it yourself. If any time you are stuck, okay, I'll tell you then. So I discovered it, and I kept learning. Then one certification to the another certification. Here we are that last week I completed my agile certified agile coaching also. So now I am a certified agile coach, and I'm trying to impart the best practices on agile ways of working and helping the agile teams in choosing the best framework for their teams. So you asked how to choose between Kanban or Scrum, and if I had any difficulty in doing the same for
Right.
myself or my team. So, yes, when I joined the very first time in the very first team, it was only Scrum being,
Right.
followed over there, and there was very less talk of Kanban
Mm.
till the time after a major reorganization structuring that happened in our organization, and I got the opportunity to be in a team where we are now uh, doing the excellence in execution and trying to do that agile transformation and adoption in the true sense.
Mm.
So there I met people who were more qualified, who knew about the who were I would say scaled agile qualified enterprise level agile coaches. So there I learned a lot, and learned about the other frameworks also, and knew that what the other teams or we were doing wrong earlier, thinking that we were agile, right? So now if I
Exactly.
look back, and I have to tell those teams or myself, yes, we were doing whatever we flexibility we had,
Yes.
because nobody was checking us that
Right.
time. So we used to do kind of a hybrid thing, mix of ceremonies based on our own interpretations. Probably that is how most of the teams fail. But yes, now we have the entire process in place where we are trying to help the teams in identifying uh, on three verticals. First is people, then process, and then tools. So by people, we check that entire team structure whether they are outcome oriented first. So if they are, then good. Then what is the framework they are choosing? Now Kanban, if I will say, now I know that if your team is working on any continuous workflow model
Right.
where your requirements are not planned, they are based on ad hoc requirements, and they can come at any time. So you may think to explore Kanban.
Mm.
But if you have a fixed cadence and you have a fixed sprint goal to achieve, and you need to deliver value iteratively, so there Scrum is the main framework that can help your team. So you need to have few basic checks while you choose the framework. The very first thing is your book of work.
Right.
So as I mentioned, if it is maybe it can be prod issues, or you may be dealing with the database changes or the infrastructure changes or L3 changes, which are not generally planned, then definitely I would encourage the audience to explore Kanban.
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and if you have fixed requirements, I mean not fixed requirements in the terms that you have the requirements predefined, and then you are doing prioritization and doing sprint planning, and based on your capacity, then you are pulling your sprint backlog into a definite iteration, fixed iteration, maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending what length you are choosing, sprint length. Then you may choose go for the Scrum.
Right. So, very nice. So few things I will add here. So if your stakeholders have some fixed milestone which is given to you, or
Right.
maybe feedback loop which is fixed. So for an
Hmm.
example, your feedback loop is 2 weeks, and
Right.
they want to see something. So we will recommend. to think about Scrum.
Correct.
It's not like that you cannot do it in Kanban, but it's another thing is we are knowledge workers. So if the you are exploring as well as developing, you
Hmm.
going into the requirements, you trying to explore, understand even the code, then we'll prefer go to again Scrum, because in
Right.
Kanban the as soon as work will be there, it will work on pull system. So
Yes.
you pull the work, you work on it, and you push it to the next step.
So
So
very
mm,
good line I learned about Kanban was stop starting, start stopping,
that's yes,
start finishing.
start finishing.
Yeah.
So
So,
so that's how it is. It's a mainly when as soon as you know what exactly you need to do, you pull that work, you finish it, and you push it. Whereas in Scrum, not always, but many times people pull the work, they explore, they iteratively they do the development, they enhance, or they the word I'm not getting is they will improvise it, and
right.
then they will push it into
They keep adapting to
that
the changes.
area.
So empiricism is the key
Empiricism key
to
to here
Scrum.
Scrum.
So yes, so there are factors as I as Nagesh also mentioned.
Mm,
So first is iteration, then roles also are different. In
right,
Kanban they are not mandatory. However, we do have a role of delivery flow manager. And in Scrum, you always know that there is a Scrum master, there is a product owner, and there is a team, development team.
mm,
And same goes for the planning also. In Scrum, we do the sprint planning, we do the backlog refinement, and in Kanban, we generally follow that just in time as the capacity allows. And also we do have one like meetings or ceremonies in Scrum. We have those five, including the sprint itself, sprint planning, and then daily Scrum, and then we have sprint review and retrospective. However, Kanban, we do have daily stand up, by the way.
right.
It is still standard in both the frameworks, but then where we can have a replenishment meeting, probably you can fix it after 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and this you can get back to the stakeholder. If you don't have enough items in your to do, then they can prioritize and tell you that these are the prioritized item, and you can pull it in your backlog then. And then the matrices also are varied in both the
Very,
frameworks.
absolutely, yes.
So
Yes.
in Scrum, we generally follow, velocity or your plant capacity. We try to measure the success over there. And in Kanban, we generally have, cycle time or throughput.
Through lead
So
time as well.
yeah, lead time or work in progress also.
Work in progress versus work in progress limit and all that. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll tell you, so to my audience, I'll tell you one experience. So if you are doing Scrum, and if you're doing daily Scrum every day, and if daily Scrums are getting monotonous, you know, believe me, you should start incorporating Kanban practices into your daily Scrum. It will help you. It will change the dynamics of your daily Scrum. So, which are the if you want to learn, put it in the comment box. Yeah, and then we will share the details. Which are the practices that you can incorporate it, Kanban practices that you can incorporate into your daily Scrum, which will change your daily Scrum totally. Let's move on to the next segment, and then so now how did your team responded or reacted to this? So let's say if your team earlier was on Scrum, after learning Kanban, or your team was working on Kanban and after learning Scrum, I want to hear from you the team's reaction. What was the team's?
Right. So, firstly, like I mentioned, that we are reviewing the team structures. So, one thing I observed in one of the teams that they were very quite huge in size.
Mhm.
So, almost 40, more than 40 people in one team,
Oh my god.
you know, comprising of the developers, the
Mhm.
testers, and even the L3 team, the prod support team, and infrastructure team. They were all comprised in one. They used to follow only one Jira board, and
Hmm.
whatever, and the daily stand up also used to extend to more than half an hour every day. So because of those things, then we told that okay, although you are already sub teams in a bigger team, you may like to break down into better functional agile teams,
Right.
with the right numbers. less than 10, including definite roles there. So we tried helping them there first, and then we told them to have separate teams for production issues, L3 issues, the infrastructure team, and having those independent functional cross-functional teams who can deliver the value in a
Hmm.
Kanban environment also, without affecting the deployment or the releases of the other teams which will be working in Scrum. So we tried to detach them and have so it was difficult for them firstly to have an understanding that what they were doing wrong earlier, and how we can improvise using the new frameworks. But to my surprise, that people were very reciprocative, and they adapted to the new ways of working very quickly, because what I observed, that it was because of the lack of awareness that they were not able to follow the right framework.
Correct.
So it was good to see them then, that in Kanban it is just the continuous workflow, and people do not have to engage in other various ceremonies or the events that are involved in Scrum. And they were very happy, just creating the jiras for them, or pulling them into their own in progress whenever they have the capacity with them, and keep delivering iteratively also. And the other Scrum teams were now very happy that they were able to uh, fix the cadence of all the events. I would say that now the sprint planning is getting over in within 1 hour.
Correct. Time
These
boxing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
time boxing is very important in Scrum, so that is happening now. And they were able to deliver that value after every iteration or sprint. So that is how they also felt that okay, this change has helped them in getting the value delivered to the customer or the business.
Great. So two things what happened here. The first thing is the high performing team has been formed, and they are delivering. They are also following the time boxing, as well as the maturity has been
Right.
increased. So these are some of the key takeaways from this experience now. And moving ahead, let me check the time. Yeah, we can. Yeah, so we can take
Sorry.
one more discussion. So now there are a lot of people. To be honest, I worked with lot of Scrum Master who only follow Scrum, or they are only looking into safe practices. Few of them.
Right.
Very few have Kanban experience. But now there are new Scrum Masters, new Agile coaches. What kind of advices you will give them to start learning Kanban or looking into Kanban practices?
Right. So the very first advice or suggestion to all my fellow Scrum Masters is that don't limit yourself just to one framework.
Right.
So you are firstly an agile champion. So you need to know probably most of the frameworks that are available. And then depending on your organizational setup or the book of work, or maybe the team dynamics, then you may think to choose which framework will fit best over there. And even if you are starting with Scrum at all, firstly, because you only know that, it is never too late to accept and change whenever you are failing, and try another framework. For
Right.
example, maybe Kanban. So the very one thing I would request all the fellow audience also, that keep experimenting, and if you are failing, fail fast and then
Very
learn.
fast. Yes,
So
absolutely.
you need to change that entire agile mindset. You have
Right.
to adapt to that. So the very thing that you were mentioning, that the Scrum Masters are failing, is the reason because they are trying to do agile.
Right.
They are trying to just follow what is written in the manifesto and
Scrum guide. Yeah.
Scrum guide, and try to just copy and paste it, and be
Right.
a facilitator or to those 5 events, and telling what is wrong. But you should be telling how you can improvise.
Right.
So you should be facilitator in a way that not only for the events, but also in the process and also in the human nature or the mindset, how you can improve it. So if we can, recall the Scrum guide, the Scrum Master has got three responsibilities to fulfill. One is to the Agile team, I mean the Scrum team. The other is to the product owner, and third is to the organization.
Organization.
So you need to think big, and you need to, be out of that comfort zone yourself. And the best Scrum Master, I would say, is the one who will make himself redundant. You know,
Absolutely. Yes. Very nice. Very nice.
he will
Absolutely.
he will make the team so self-organizing and self-managing that they may not require the Scrum Master at all.
Right. Yeah. I'll share one of my experience. So in one of my previous organization, we were planning to. The organization was planning to move Jira Scrum Master to Jira, and Scrum Masters read only access will have.
Okay.
So read only. Imagine, guys,
Right.
Scrum Master cannot do anything. So every changes, anything that you are adding into that, it has to be done by your team. So, like he said, Scrum Master is redundant. Your team is doing planning, your team is doing refinement, your team is doing daily Scrum. You are just observing, and if there are any course correction, you are going to help. And some of the
Right.
teams, they are doing their bands. Okay, so it was great discussion, Pavnit sir, and I really enjoyed. The journey was amazing. I like the way you, yes, put it in a story. I like
Right.
stories. Everyone likes stories.
Agile is all about stories.
Stories. So it was amazing discussion, and thanks for being such a wonderful guest on Agile Exploration
No,
Hub.
no,
And
thank you.
from all the audience, I would like to say thank you and
No,
Jai Hind.
no, thank you so much for bringing me to your, you know, entire platform and giving me an opportunity to interact with you and share my journey. And still, I would say, that's a continuous improvement and continuous learning journey. And we may have, many sessions ahead, and will definitely would like to, share my best experiences as I move ahead in my corporate journey as well. So yes, thanks to you, and see you soon.
Once again, thanks a lot. So to my audience, if you really enjoyed this episode, please add a comment, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.